Thanks for joining me on One Way. We're so excited that you've been able to give us the time this morning to be able to
No.
share some hope and encouragement with people.
Well, you're a little presumptuous. Hopefully that does actually take place. But yes, thank you for taking the time. It is 5:15 here in Nashville, Tennessee, in the evening. So we're playing opposites right
The
here. That's for
opposite.
sure.
We were up bright and sparkly. And what I was wondering, Luke, is you've joining us today and you're chatting about your family biopic movie that's been released in Australia on the 30th of May, Unsung Hero.
Yeah.
Now, Unsung Hero is actually number 2 in the US at the moment.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, well, well, thank you. Look, one of the things I think I'm most excited about is if you had told me, I called up a friend of mine, and just for a little bit of context, this film, Unsung Hero, is about my family. We were born in Australia. Hopefully, you can still tell it's true. The Americans have jacked up my accent. I get it. But born in Australia, we came to America as a young family. Six of mom and dad had six of us. My mom had another one on the way. But when we arrived in Nashville, my dad lost the job that he came for. So straight on the other side of the world, no food. A lot of times, we're not always quite sure where the next meal was going to come from. Our little sister Libby, we weren't quite sure where she was going to be born. Didn't have a car. I mean, the list went on and on. And we got to see God do some amazing, amazing miracles and just a crazy adventure. And that's what the film is all about. So I actually called up a friend of mine in LA and said, "Hey, man, there's something about this story that I think we need to make." And literally, he just goes, "Cool, let's make it." And I was like, "Man, I need to call LA more often." But if you had told me 4 years ago that the film would be, have been the number 2 movie in America, and that it would be successful enough for it to be released internationally, particularly Australia, I'd be one of the happiest people in the world. So for me to be able to have this moment and chat together like this is real thrilling. We're very grateful.
It's quite a unique project in the sense that it's a family film that it could actually be a first for history. Is it the first family project biopic film that has been written, produced, starred in, and the soundtrack written for by the actual subjects of the film? Now, I haven't fact checked that at all, but
I have a
it's
hard
quite
time
unique.
thinking. Yeah, you've probably, you know what? You might not be very tech savvy, but you should work for Wikipedia. All right.
I could get a job there if
Yeah,
this one falls through.
that's that's right. I think you're probably right. And in some cases I hear that and I go, "Is there something wrong with us?" Or do I sit there and I go, "Oh, is that cool?" Hopefully it's cool.
Super cool. And what you've been able to do through this process, I think, is actually show that the family, it's not a perfect family, but what's demonstrated is a vulnerability and an authenticity, which is so refreshing. And what I'm wondering is through this process, not just making it, but also through your story, how are you hoping that Unsung Hero is going to impact families?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. We were with a rough edit of the film, and there was a friend of ours who worked in the building that we were editing it with, and so he works on a lot of films, lots of stories, all the types of things. So he's pretty knowledgeable, pretty experienced, and he asked to see the movie. And but anytime you've got a film that's in a rough kind of place, you got to be real careful who you show it to and all those types of things. And the other thing is this guy wasn't a very happy person. We would like to say that he's a crusty individual. And so we were sitting there going, "Do we really want to show this film to this guy?" Well, anyway, we kind of caved. We're like, "Well, we need some outside input anyway. Why don't you come in?" So we show him the movie, and what's the first thing you do when you walk out of the theater? You turn to the person you went with and you go, "What did you think?" And he looks over at us. He has a tear in his eye, and he goes, "I want to be a better dad."
Wow.
And it was a really powerful moment because this is a movie that I did not expect would really hit him, and it hit him. And my hope is you have a lot of dads leaving saying, "I want to be a better dad." I hope you have a lot of moms saying, realizing that all of their hard work and their effort is seen and noticed, and that my mom lived a very, it's funny to say, she's like nominally extraordinary, very simple person. But she changed our lives. She taught me right from wrong. She taught me fear of God. So I hope a lot of mothers see it in my mom's character, like this is worth it. And I hope for kids, my older sister, had a dream, And at a very young age, that dream was kind of realized. And I hope that young, people just start to realize that there's no dream too small and no age too small to go and do whatever God's laid on your heart.
Luke, I actually had the pleasure of meeting your beautiful mum, Helen, last year on the Gold Coast. She was there for the
Yeah.
CMAA conference, and she was so warm and welcoming. And I was just this random walking towards her, a bit fanish, and I said, "Oh, hi. My kids are a fan of your kids." I stopped short of saying, "Hey, can we be friends?" But what really struck me with her, you touched on it just before. She has quite a matter of fact but humbleness about her, and she has this
Yeah.
incredible heart for mothers and for
Yeah, she
families.
does.
And
Yeah, she does.
I'm wondering the passion that she has for those things. How has that influenced your family? And we're seeing it, the results of people that you have, those reflections coming out of the cinema, those impacts. How do you see that your mum has played an instrumental role in impacting not only your family, but those that she encounters?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I can, specifically speak from my family. My wife, Connie, we got four kiddos, so we're not quite Catholic level, but we're pretty serious about
Very
raising kids.
close.
Yeah, there you go. And so we've got our own little fleet, and my mom. I've often said that father is the greatest title that I've ever been given because without my wife, I don't get given that title. Without the love that I have for my wife, I don't ever get given that title. But it's also the one thing I don't want to fail in
Yeah.
because it's just that has that much purpose and meaning and legacy, and not necessarily my legacy, but if you want to teach people about the love of Jesus, it's going to be lived out through your life, but it's multiplied through your kids' lives. And so, mom, I think taught us a lot about this. Just one funny story that mom used to say, and this will tell you the level of, bad to the bone mother that she was at times. I remember there was this moment where I was had like a baseball game or a cricket game rained out, or maybe it was a best friend's coming to the house and they got sick or we got sick or whatever it was. He would say, "Luke, are you disappointed?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm disappointed. I wanted to go play the game and I wanted the friend to come over." And she would look at me and she'd go, "It's really good to learn how to overcome disappointment in life."
Wow.
And you know what's funny is that's kind of who my mom is. She's learned how to overcome disappointment in her life because every disappointment that happens is kind of an opportunity in life. And my mom had this very unique perspective that she could actually not just think it, but she could think it and it could be transferred to her heart. And she lived it out. And so yeah, she's a special person. Even my wife and I, we're very close to mom. We're very close to both my parents, but she's just has a special place in our hearts for sure.
It's a really precious thing to have. And I think that one of the things that's demonstrated through this movie, as you've shared, is that close knit family unit. But you're all on mission together with unique
Yeah.
gifts and working for a common purpose. I think it's such a wonderful and inspirational story. In the song Unsung Hero, you actually have a line in
Yeah.
there, "You are my safe place to land." In what ways did your mum practically provide that?
Yeah, you get emotional even think about that actually. No mother is ever going to be perfect at doing all of there's just so much, right? When you're raising kids, no father is ever going to be perfect. I mean, there's just so much. But what I've noticed about kids is they actually have a lot of grace for the mistakes that we make
Yeah.
as parents, which is a wonderful gift. But the one thing I will say about my mom is I think that we put that line in there because when it came to the big moments of my life, whether or not it was heartbreak or whether or not I got hurt playing basketball when I was a junior in high school, and I wanted to play sports, and just her being with me through taking me to surgery for it, and going to the physical therapy, like hard moments that are not a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and then seeing that kind of my dream dashed. I'll never forget. She told me, I said, "Mom, everybody else in the family's got their thing, not me. My thing was taken from me." And she just looked at me and she said, "By the time you graduate high school, I think there's gonna be one thing left for you to do. I literally graduate high school. 2 months later, my brother comes to me and says, "Hey, what do you think about working on some music and just seeing where things go?" The big moments in my life, my mom batted 1,000. So when it comes to a safe place for me to land, I just don't have, I literally just don't, and I'm sure I've probably covered some of them up. I just don't have a recollection of her failing me in the big moments of my life. She was my safe place to land.
That's a beautiful story of God's grace. And as you say, the grace of a child's eyes. Thank you so much for sharing. That's just so wonderful. Working in a movie and film, obviously some of the
Yeah.
people that you're working with are not coming from a faith-based perspective. How did you
Yeah.
see God moving through the set on this film?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that was most special is, uh, I think sometimes there's this fear when you're a Christian that you've got to kind of dumb down Jesus to be relatable. And I might get like you don't want to be an idiot, right? And Paul even, sorry, Peter says, preach the gospel with gentleness and respect. So obviously that's just the way it is. But sometimes I think that we misquote that or misinterpret that, and you just don't ever preach the gospel. Meaning, I don't think you need to start your day every day, hey, you
Come
sinner,
on.
where are
Yeah.
you going? That sort of thing. But I do. One of the things that we did is we had kind of a small devotional moment before every we started filming, and we just acknowledged, like, hey, man, we're working on this film. This is just the way we were raised. This is what we believe. This is who we are. And you may come from all sorts of different things, but if there's something I can pray for you about, will you let us know? We had people on our crew telling other people that they'd never been on a better crew, never been on a
Wow.
and man, we had some hardship on that film shoot, and they just were delighted. They were happy. They wanted to be a part of it, and so at the end of the day, sometimes I think we overcomplicate Jesus a little bit, and we went, that we've all probably been in churches where you have like evangelical training and all this other nonsense. I'm not saying it's all wrong. I'm just saying we just make it really hard. It's like, man, just make Jesus real for you. If you make Jesus real to you, just tell other people how he's real to you. And then all of a sudden, you just literally you like got a grade A on evangelical training. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Amen.
we need. Sometimes we feel like we have to have a speech and we have to have
Yeah.
this. And just make it real. You might be the only Jesus that the people in your workplace ever get to see.
Yeah.
And they may not be people that are immediately going to open up their Bible, but if they experience Jesus through you, and you get to explain them, why are you different? Why are you wise? Why are you gracious? Why are you patient when you shouldn't be? They might end up opening up that Bible one day and actually going, oh, I get it now. I get it now.
I love that. And you may be the only Bible that someone reads, your witness in your life. What a great witness this film is. And I just want to thank you so much for your time this morning, your afternoon.
Yep,
But this
yep.
morning, Luke, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. And all the best for the upcoming tour and for this wonderful, wonderful film about how
Yeah,
good God
well,
is through families.
yeah. So just two things real quick. May
Yeah.
30th is when the film comes out. And obviously we'd love to see you there. And if you need, like a website to go to get all the locations where it's in theaters, it's faithmedia.com.au. Go there, May 30th, mark your calendars, go to the website, and that's where you can find out all the information that you need. But thank you for taking the time. It's always an honor to speak to people. I love it. And obviously to be able to speak with you this morning was a real honor and a real treat.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.